All right, thanks, Shram. Good morning, everybody. We're here for our weekly Marion County Board of Commissioners meeting. It's Wednesday, almost said Monday. Wednesday, March 24th, 2021. We're in the Senator Hearing Room at 555 Court Street in Salem, Oregon. And if you will join me, we always start with the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Wow. Just seems like we were here yesterday for State of the County. Time's flying so quickly. Up first, batting first,
She's like, are you ready?
from our Health Department, Katrina Rothenberger, to talk about COVID-19.
Good morning. Katrina Rothenberger, Public Health Division Director for Marion County Health and Human Services. As of today, Wednesday, March 24th, since the beginning of the pandemic in March 2020, there have been 19,157 cases. Percent positivity rate has gone down throughout the duration of the pandemic to 8.7%. 296 people have died. We're currently monitoring 12 people in the hospital with COVID. And in the previous 2-week period, March 7th through March 20th, there were 438 cases, which is a case rate of 125.9 per 100,000 and a 3.9% positivity rate. The cases between March 7th and March 20th increased 7.1% over the previous 2-week period of February 28th through March 13th. We're still seeing the bulk of the cases from the Central Salem, Northeast Salem, Brooks, and Kaiser zip codes. And the 125.9 per 100,000, we're still in the risk category labeled high risk, and we're not anticipating movement at this time. The cutoff for a moderate is 100 per 100,000, and the cutoff for extreme risk is 200 per 100,000. To date, almost 1 million Oregonians have taken either their first or second dose of the vaccine. 577,299 people are fully vaccinated, and the other 420,000 have the series in progress. And of those, 118,000 doses have been administered in Marion County, which includes first and second doses, which is roughly 75,000 people. On March 19th, Marion County was acknowledged to move forward with vaccinating those in Group 6. Our Board of Commissioners submitted a letter last Thursday, March 18th, stating that we were ready to move on to allow those appointment slots to be more flexible and used for folks in Group 6, so none of those appointment slots would go empty. Last week when we submitted that letter, over 58% of people over the age of 65 were immunized. As of this morning, we're at 64.3% of people over the age of 65 have received the vaccine. As I mentioned, moving on to Group 6 doesn't necessarily mean we've had a huge influx of vaccine, but we have a little bit more flexibility in scheduling these doses so these appointments do not go unused. Group 6 includes people aged 45 to 64 with underlying health conditions. These health conditions are listed on the OHA website. They also include cancer, chronic kidney disease, COPD, Down syndrome, heart conditions such as coronary artery disease or heart failure, pregnancy, people who are immunocompromised, obesity, sickle cell disease, and type 2 diabetes. Group 6 also includes agricultural workers, food processing workers, people living in low-income senior housing, senior congregate housing, and independent living, pregnant people 16 and older, folks who are unsheltered, wildland firefighters, and those displaced by wildfires. Anyone looking to receive a vaccine should know that while they may be eligible this week, they might not find an open spot to receive the vaccine. They're still limited, and as more groups become eligible, spots fill up more quickly. We have a number of vaccine clinics operating in Marion County, and are listed on our COVID-19 website. If you do not have internet access, you can call us at 503-576-2828, and we can help you make an appointment. If you do have internet access, we ask that you go through 211. And a couple questions we've been receiving lately are, how long does it take for the vaccine to work? When am I considered fully vaccinated? And with each vaccine, it's a little different. So after your second dose of the Pfizer vaccine, 7 days after your second dose, you're considered fully vaccinated. 14 days after your second Moderna vaccine, you are considered fully vaccinated. And 28 days after your Johnson & Johnson vaccine, you're considered fully vaccinated. Another question we're getting is, can I choose which vaccine I receive? If you prefer a particular vaccine, you might have to wait a little bit longer until they become more readily available. And it's important to know that all the vaccines are safe and effective, and in most cases, the best vaccine for you is the one that's available for when you're eligible. But call ahead of time and ask which vaccine you're getting if that is something that you are concerned about. So, thank you.
Thanks for your work, Katrina. That's a good number. That's 64%. 65 over 70% is sort of the goal, right?
That's correct. Yeah, we're really happy with how many people have turned out over the age of 65.
We're really close to that milestone.
Katrina, thank you. Colin got it too. We just got an email this morning from Megan. I guess it came in last night, from Megan Harper. This is, I think, her third or fourth time she's contacted us. And I know Ryan responded to her back in September. Her concern is why we still have more cases than others. Can you just share some of the challenges that we've talked about that we continue to try to focus on? One I want to bring up, and hopefully I asked Chad to, because she sent it all to all of us, Chad to respond. I brought it up yesterday, is that when you look at our numbers that are higher per 100,000 people, or per 1,000, I can't remember whatever that number was I was looking at yesterday, and yet the state doesn't send more vaccines our direction. It doesn't make sense to me. I know vaccines is only one of the challenges that we have to help this go out, but even before vaccines, we are higher than others. We know what some of those reasons are. Could you maybe share on the record?
Sure.
What we
Yeah,
discussed?
so we still see cases in folks who are between the ages of 20 and 29, and they're not necessarily eligible for a vaccine right now unless they work in one of those professions that made them eligible in phase 1A or 1B. That is contributing to the spread here currently. And then the other thing is, when we look at our outbreaks have gone down considerably in long-term care facilities, but we're still seeing household transmission. And so the other area that we'd really like to focus our vaccine efforts are on multi-generational housing. And we have a dense population in some of these zip codes that are experiencing high rates of COVID. And so that's another area that we'd like to impact with our vaccine, and one that our team is working to impact currently. So those are two reasons why I think we still have a number of cases. But if you look at Marion County and Oregon as a whole compared to the rest of the nation, we're still considerably lower than some other states with higher case counts.
Yeah. And the one thing I want to encourage, because I know I personally have come in contact with a younger family that is actually had COVID recently, and I just want to, and I heard on the news this morning, one of the things I heard was the millennials and lower, whatever you call that,
Generation Z, isn't it?
whatever it is.
Gen Z.
A recent survey showed that 25% of them were not going to get the vaccine, and that 20% are still undecided. And I think what we want to continue to encourage people is, yes, the numbers have been going down everywhere, and we moved from extreme to high, and we'd love to get into moderate. But I think people start to get a false sense of security, and this one that I know of was kind of awakening to some people that said, wow, you know, it wasn't going to happen to me. And I think it's a virus, and it's still out there, and people still need to be careful when they go to mass gatherings, whether that's at church or in a restaurant or in a bar. They still need to make sure that they're taking care of themselves and taking care of those around us. And so just want to encourage people to do that. And it's still with us, and we need more vaccines, we know that, but until then, we've got to continue to do everything we can. And I know for me, it's become a habit. I think most of us, we walk around the office now, and I still want to say thank you to all the employees of Marion County, as we've kept our operations open during this time and kept people pretty safe, and yet it's still a tense time in all of our lives. So thank you for what you do. Appreciate it. Any other thoughts?
Well, I mean, I have lots of thoughts, but I think the one that stands out to me the most is that there's a lot of arbitrary things still going on in state government to control this virus, and we're frustrated. I think Megan's frustrated. A lot of folks are frustrated, and yesterday we received a positive case count of 21 cases in Marion County of a population of approximately 350,000 people. I mean, when you look at a pile of rice, and you put 21 grains over here and 330,000 over here, it's a significant difference, and our hospitals are not under stress. I think people are just saying, overall, we need to be able to control through our local health authority, our local response, and we can't do that, and they're frustrated, and I'm frustrated with them, and I appreciate their emails, and I think that we need to not be complacent as leaders to say, continue to make the point that local efforts are best, and the things that the health department are doing are working, and they are great, but you're limited in the ability to really stamp out the virus in the places that it is because of state control. So those are my thoughts, and I really wish I could give you access to just go do your job really well.
And it's a good point that Katrina made, which is, you know, we tend to have this sort of myopic view of Oregon only, but compared to most of the rest of the country, our case counts are very, very low. And so it is a credit to Katrina and her team and Ryan and the work that they're doing. So I just think sometimes taking a step back and not just focusing on what's happening in Oregon, but looking at, you know, the country and the world and putting it into context, we can feel pretty good about where we are in our efforts to address this virus in our community.
Great. Thank you, Katrina. Thanks, Ryan. Commissioners, I'd love to have unanimous consent to standard presentations and add an item to our agenda to have Scott McClure come up and introduce himself.
I think that's a great idea.
Put him
I
on the
support that.
spot.
Sorry.
We've been waiting for his arrival for a long, long time, and I know people in the canyon as well. So, Scott, if you wouldn't mind coming over and saying hello and good morning, and we're going to surprise you and drill you with 1,000 questions. No, serious. Just wanted to have you introduce yourself.
Yeah, thank you, Scott McClure.
You need to pull that microphone pretty
Okay.
close to, yeah.
I've been accused of not talking loud enough, so yes.
Yeah.
So, Scott McClure, long-term resource recovery manager for the Canyon, and 3 days in, actually, today's the third day, so just learning. Otherwise, background before that, 30 years in city management, so I know the ground pretty well. So now it's kind of applying those skills in a different way, and so it'll be getting everything pulled together from what the staff's been doing, the commissioners, you know, getting the partnerships going, bundling all that, and then I think at this point having the ability to have somebody focused on really then moving everything forward. And I ultimately looking forward to years down the road seeing everything recovered, and being able to be part of that's going to be very rewarding.
Great.
I am so thrilled that you're here. Just our efforts, I think, in the canyon, rebuilding the canyon, it's been sort of trying to grab things as they're flying past our heads and coordinating people and agencies and fighting through red tape. And so it's just so nice to have somebody dedicated to that job. And yeah, I'm just thrilled. So
Yeah, I think it'll be very important because as you noted right on the head, you took people that were already had full-time jobs and said, here, throw this on top. And sometimes you need more resources, and that's what you guys stepped up and committed to do, and I'm happy to be part of it.
Great. Good.
I'm good.
Yeah, I'm really excited you're here. I got to meet you in person on Monday, and I knew you were coming for the last, 2 weeks. And I think it's important for the community to know that it wasn't just individuals that were impacted by the wildfire, it was governments. And your background is going to be critical in being able to support those small governments in recovery so they can support their communities. And I'm just confident you're going to do an excellent job, and I'm excited to work with you through that.
Great,
So
thank you.
welcome.
Thank you.
Yeah, Scott, welcome aboard. We know there's a lot of work to do, and we understand. I know you lost your RV in the fire. I got smoked out of my house, and then all the people that lost everything, and that there's so much spirit there that wants to rebuild, and the patience is the issue. You know, it's great to hear FEMA say, "Hey, you guys are way ahead of the curve." Well, we set our own curve, right? So you know, you're going to run into all that, and we're just so thankful to have you there as a force that will help support. The people in the canyon can do it themselves. We know that they are. How do you say
Resilient.
this? Resilient, and that's why they've lived up there, because they're a little bit more self-sufficient. But this is when they do need the government. They haven't needed the government necessarily, but they do need us, and we're there to support them and help them. We were just having that conversation about, having city council meetings and being functional government and pulling together and not pulling apart. And under stressful times, that's when people's character shows up, right? And so we're glad to have you. Looking forward to, I think we're all meeting with you one-on-one here coming up to give you our thoughts. And thank you for taking this job on, and looking forward to the people in the canyon meeting you.
Yep.
Right.
All right.
Welcome aboard.
Yep, thanks.
Thank you.
Okay, Mr. Chair, before we begin, if you entertain, I'd make a motion to remove an item from the consent agenda. It's item number 4, under Human Resources, in order appointing Jay Bergman, Leslie Martin, Tom Shrewsbury to the Marion County Health Insurance Study Committee as voting management representatives, so that we can have a little bit more time to discuss that topic.
I'll second the motion.
You have a motion and a second to remove item number 4 under Human Resources on the consent agenda. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Okay, and aye. I vote aye. And then we'll have some time to discuss that and bring that back in the future. Great. Okay, so we will move now to the consent calendar, and Commissioner Bethel, I believe it's your turn.
All right, Mr. Chair, I moved to approve the consent calendar consisting of OLCC application for the Brooks Petroleum LLC DBA U.S. Market 450 in Salem, Oregon, and under Board of Commissioners approve a resolution adopting a policy prohibiting the use of excessive force against nonviolent civil rights demonstrators. Under the Clerk's Office, approve amendment number 9 to the lease agreement with Downtown Storage and Warehouse LLC to add $239,460 for a new contract total of $2,535,864.96, which extends the lease at the current rate through March 31st, 2020. And under the Finance Department, approve a quit claim deed for the sale of property tax ID number R13549 from Marion County to the grantee. And under Public Works, receive notice of hearings officer's recommendation and schedule a property hearing for April 21st, 2021 for comprehensive plan amendment zone change property line adjustment CPZC PLA case number 21-001 Wing Properties LLC and Shane and Tracy Meyerhofer. And under Treasurer's Office, approve an order decreasing the change fund at the Marion County Assessor's Office from $150 to $75.
I'll second the motion.
Mr. Chair, I may have misheard, but I think Under the clerk's office item, it was read as extending the lease through March 31st, 2020, and it should be 2022.
Sorry.
I caught that as well, but it's hard to read out loud, so I just thought I'd give you a
Okay, so with the one correction that it is 2022, we have a motion and a second on the consent calendar. Any further discussion? Thank you, legal counsel.
I do actually have
Yeah.
just one comment to make, that item number 1B, the approve a resolution adopting a policy prohibiting the use of excessive force against non-violent civil rights demonstrators. Just to state that our sheriff's department has had that as a policy in their department for some time. This isn't new. We're just going through some processes.
Well, it's for the CDBG program that we're setting up. The federal government requires us to have a new policy, which is like a typical government thing where you say, well, we already have the policy. It says the same thing that your policy says. And they say, okay, but would you please adopt our policy too? We say, oh, okay. For you, federal government, we'll do it.
Perfect.
Great, and thanks for that clarification. So we have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Good discussion for a consent calendar. Thank you, appreciate it. All right, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Aye, all right, that's good. Move on to our first action item under Health and Human Services. I don't see Cindy here, but I do see Cindy, but I see Ryan. Consider approval of a contract for services with Irish Telehealth. Iris.
Not quite.
I almost got you.
I just think it's a math thing today.
Iris-
Missing a consonant there.
Iris Telehealth Medical Group PA in the amount of $500,000 to provide telepsychiatric treatment services for patients identified and scheduled by Marion County Health and Human Services through January 31st, 2022. Welcome, Ryan.
Thank you. Good morning, Commissioners. Ryan Matthews, Administrator for the Health and Human Services Department. So I am here seeking approval of a contract with Iris Telehealth Medical Group in the amount of $500,000. This really is another tool in the toolbox of the service array that we have with Marion County Health and Human Services. So I want to let you know, as I'm sure you're aware, though, we have individual contracts with psychiatrists as well as mental health nurse practitioners, and those are there to provide in-office services for those in need across our programs. We also have an agreement with locum tenens, which was recently extended, and that is to help us staff when we have vacant positions. So, we have to go through an individual recruitment process to contract with independent physicians to fill these roles. At times when they leave, we have people that are still in need of providing or receiving that service, and in order to maintain those scheduled appointments, we have a staffing agency, locum tenens, which can help provide, again, additional psychiatric supports for in-office services. But Iris Telehealth will give us the flexibility of also providing some telehealth appointments for telepsychiatry. In some of our research around what some other counties are doing in the recruitment front to make sure that they can staff this resource, we found that many had an agreement in place with Iris Telehealth, and we have determined that it's really a great way for us to be able to expand, increase access, especially during this time where I think there's a lot of people really in need of services and not always a lot of great entry points to be able to receive those services. The primary focus of this contract is going to be to expand services up in Woodburn. We identified early on in the pandemic, I think, that we really needed to increase access up in North County to behavioral health services. We've recently expanded our crisis program to provide urgent care, behavioral health, urgent crisis services up out of our Woodburn office. And we wanted to make telehealth, telepsychiatry appointments available for that population as well. So this would be to provide both psychiatrist and mental health nurse practitioner services via telehealth appointments through this contract. And we'll obviously continue our in-person services for those that we have under contract to provide in-office care. I don't know if anybody had any questions about this particular contract.
How many patients do you expect this contract will serve? Do you have an estimate?
I think it can be available to people that might need it. So we would serve in adult and children's behavioral health, we combine to serve around 4,000 to 5,000 individuals. So at least they would have access to it if they needed this appropriate level of care, and if this was the model that they chose to utilize telehealth to make scheduled appointments. So up to 3,000 to 4,000, but obviously we'll end up being a much smaller subset of that'll utilize it.
Do you know what our breakout is between like the Salem area or the Woodburn area?
Yeah, our Woodburn area historically has really been underutilized. We have a very small number of people that receive services up there. It would be in the hundreds. It has been erratic. We've had difficulty staffing that clinic over the years. And what tends to happen, and this is what we're trying to really shift away from because we need consistency in North County, is as vacancies happen in Salem, clinicians tend to get shifted back to Salem to plug those holes, and it leaves vacancies, and it really impacts our Woodburn services. That's happened a lot on the addiction treatment side, and it's happened in behavioral health. And we've really decided we've got to make the commitment that if you're going to be out there, you have to be there, and you have to know that the community can count on you. And so we're trying to make sure we've got increasing enough access so that no appointments get canceled, that people have access to critical care up in North County. And that's something we've really been focusing on as we've identified some of the inequities around access throughout this pandemic. I think it's really brought to light that North County needs more of our attention, and we've committed to do that. And this is just one of the strategies to be able to fill that gap.
Great, thank you.
What does it look like when a patient is potentially offered this service? Are they offered the cluster of concepts, or is it just, here's this, and then they have to look for other ways?
They're offered. They would be offered a choice of whether they would want to come in. So we would have calendar slots available where they could come into the office to receive that service, or we would also have calendar slots available that if they wanted to do that via telehealth. And I think that one thing that we found is, different people receive services differently, like they have different preferences. So I think there's certain people that maybe through their case management services that they receive are used to telehealth. They'd be kind of a natural fit to slide in. This is an option if that's how they're used to receiving their care. At the same time, there's people that don't respond well to a screen, don't respond well to that lack of sort of the individual personal, not physical touch, but just that personal connection that you can have with somebody in an office. And I think those people would want to continue to receive in-person services. They wouldn't really seek out telehealth. Now, if it was the only time slot available and it was something critical, it would be available to them certainly, but I think that there would be a large array of people that we serve that will not choose to go the telehealth route, that really prefer that in-person, face-to-face service.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. All right.
Okay, Mr. Chair, I move that we approve a contract for services with Iris Telehealth Medical Group, PA, in the amount of $500,000 to provide telepsychiatric treatment services for patients identified and scheduled by Marion County Health and Human Services through January 31st, 2022.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Aye. Thank you, Ryan. Okay, our next item is under Public Works. Consider adoption of an administrative ordinance granting zone change comprehensive plan amendment partition ZCCPP. Case number 19-005, Lois M. Finnick, trustee of the Harry O. and Lois M. Finnick Trust.
Good morning, Commissioners.
Joe.
For the record, Joe Fenimore.
Wait, no beaver tie this morning?
I don't have a beaver
I was
tie.
wondering, he's got his jacket.
He's got his jacket,
Oh,
beaver
yeah,
jacket. Yeah,
All right.
he left it back there.
Didn't recognize you without something with OSU on it. All right.
All right, once again, for the record, Joe Fenimore. This item before you today is to change the zone from special agriculture to acreage residential with a 2-acre minimum lot size. Change the comprehensive plan designation from special agriculture to rural residential with an exception to statewide goals 3 agricultural lands and goal 14 urbanization on a 20.46 acre parcel, and then to partition the property into a 2-acre, a 2-acre, and a 16.4 acre parcel. The property is located in the 2400 block of 62nd Avenue Southeast, just east of Salem. The hearings officer conducted a public hearing on the application on July 24, 2019. On December 10, 2019, issued a recommendation that the board deny the request. The board held a duly noticed public hearing on the application on February 24, 2021, after considering all the arguments and testimony in the record, approved the request subject to conditions. The conditions are standard conditions for a partition, which include plating requirements, right-of-way dedication, stormwater detention, and the filing of declaratory statements and special setbacks from adjacent farmed properties. The ordinance and findings have been prepared and notice of adoption was given on March 17th. The ordinance is now set for formal adoption. You have the options of adopting the ordinance as written, direct staff to prepare a modified ordinance, or choose not to adopt the ordinance at this time. Staff recommends the board adopt the ordinance as written, and I'll be happy to answer any questions.
All right. Any questions for Joe?
No, I feel like we were just here talking about this.
Thank you, Joe. Thanks for doing a good job on this one.
Thank you. All right.
Okay, Mr. Chair, I move to approve administrative ordinance granting zone change comprehensive plan amendment partition ZCCPP, case number 19-005, Lois M. Finnig, trustee of the Henry O. and Lois M. Finnig Trust.
I second the motion.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Aye. All right. Joe, thank you for your good work on this. As always. Go fly those colors now.
Hey, Lonnie's here.
Good morning.
Good
Oh,
morning.
good. Maybe we get a,
Welcome.
maybe we get a movie to watch.
I'm
No?
always letting you down. I have a presentation, but no video.
Well, that's,
No video.
that- well,
I
that's-
meant that was a video.
Hey.
I
I
video
almost
for him.
did. I almost did have a video.
you know,
believe it or not, but-
for me, a presentation is like a movie. So
Okay.
it's okay.
You don't
Move
need
the
to
slides
indulge
really
it.
You-
fast.
I
so
don't
it's,
have really high expectations. All right, so.
Good. We'll keep those expectations low.
So we're here, I'm gonna just say a couple things here before we get going, because we're here, we're gonna include motions or action items 3, 4, 5, 6, all under a rolling motion today, and I'll read number 3 out loud, and then when we do make the motion, we'll just insert different numbers. But this is to consider approval of incoming funds intergovernmental agreement with the Oregon Department of Transportation for Safe Routes to Schools program, which is a great program. Grants for Marion Elementary estimated at, this one is $600,000, of which an estimate $300,000 will be paid for with grant funds, and the remaining estimate $300,000 will be provided by Marion County funding and staff time donations through March 26th. And March of 2026. And then the other motions, I think what we'll do is when we go to make the motion, we'll just read the school and the amount, if that's okay?
Perfect.
All right, for items 4, 5, and 6. So we'll let you take away the presentation.
Okay, thank
Welcome.
you. Thank you. For the record, Lonnie Radke, Public Works Engineering.
And Janelle Shanahan, Public Works Engineering.
Welcome, Janelle.
Good morning to everybody. Really want to take a moment here. We've had a rough year, but let's take a moment and really celebrate something. This is fantastic news. We have been awarded 4 different grants through the Safe Routes to School program, which is a state program that focuses on improving, educating, and encouraging children to walk, roll, or ride bicycles to school. So there are 2 different programs within the Safe Routes to School program, which are the construction and the non-construction programs. And the non-construction is more about education and state services. The construction is what we're talking about today. There is a Safe Routes to School advisory committee with 15 volunteers, at which we have I'm sitting on that committee, so we're going to be really active with Safe Routes to School here, moving ahead. This time we applied for 5 and successfully were awarded 4 grants. There were 99 applications in the construction grant program this year. Throughout the state, 43 were awarded, and we got 4 of those 43. So this is really fantastic. And Janelle was she led the efforts. She was a huge part of our success. So we really thank Janelle for that work, as well as Jill Ogden, one of our senior engineering technicians in engineering, and a few other people as well. The total that the state awarded over the next 3 years was $28.3 million, and we were successful at getting $1.3 million. So we'll be talking about those 4 grant awards today, starting with Air Elementary, formerly known as Marion, Staten Middle School, Four Corners Elementary, and Auburn Elementary. So first to start with Air Elementary, number 34489. It is located in Salem, if you're not familiar with it. It is in our East Salem service district. And these are just photos of some examples of some of the ramps, or not even ramps, sorry, the sidewalks that we have in the area. And as you know, we're working on our ADA transition plan as well. So this paired up nicely. We have, if you can see the blue here, we have.
Can you go back to that last
Yeah.
slide for just a second?
Sure.
So those cracks have been filled in, right?
Yeah.
And so is that, if I remember, I went on a road tour years ago. Is that the preparation for an overlay?
I don't know if we're doing, we don't have any plans to.
Oh, so
it's
Ryan doesn't have a movie about that, okay.
No. No.
So those are just sealed cracks on that pavement, okay, thanks.
So this shows, if you can see, the blue is 25 different ADA compliant ramps and sidewalk improvements that we would be doing in the vicinity of Auburn Elementary School on Shenandoah and Shawnee, as well as constructing one new crosswalk here at Shenandoah and Shawnee, and then 2 new crosswalks crossing Pennsylvania. And there will be 2 new pairs of school flashing beacons on Pennsylvania. There's already 1 pair, and we will have 2 more for slowing down those speeds at the appropriate times. You read the numbers, I think, already before we started. The total project estimate here is $600,000. We requested $300,000 in our grant application. We were actually already starting the work on the ramp designs as part of our ADA transition plan. So we did a little bit of an overmatch here in order to make our application more attractive, and I think it helped in our success. So we will be contributing $300,000 here. We're wrapping up our design here this year and construction this year. So this will be one of our first this will be our first that we finish. Moving on to our second, Staten Middle School. This was actually part of a project identification grant. This is in Staten, obviously, in North Santiam School District, and the City of Staten and the school district worked with a consultant to identify the needs in front of Staten Middle School. And this picture is such a good illustration of the pedestrians leaving school, crossing Schaff Road right at Gardner Avenue. I believe the data showed at times there were 200 students crossing in a very short period. So there were definitely some needs for improvements here, but it didn't really warrant a full traffic signal. So the consultant was recommending a pedestrian hybrid signal, which is what we will be working on installing here at the existing crosswalk. And
What's hybrid signal? Is that the flashing lights?
I'm glad you asked.
Next slide.
Look at this is the video that I almost brought. Darn it.
Email it to us.
I will.
Oh,
well, we will.
I like it here.
I'll watch it.
We will have an education program for this as well. This is certainly the first in the county, and maybe the city of Salem doesn't even have one. It is a different different application.
Your town's getting it.
Just
Oh
leading,
my
on
God.
the leading edge there in
Oh
state.
my God.
Big deal.
Well, they should get stuff since they're a suburb of Sublimity.
Oh my God.
I think it's the other way around.
So this is it's sometimes referred to as a HOC, but a pedestrian hybrid beacon, PHB. It is, we have the rectangular rapid flash beacons, and they're pedestrian actuated. You push the button and beacons flash. This is it's a hybrid, almost something between that and a full traffic signal. This will show red signals to the vehicles rather than a flashing yellow warning.
Oh, so you need to stop.
It's enforceable. Somebody
Nice.
could be pulled over.
It's like a bus.
Yes.
So, sorry, Lauren, I want to ask a question about this. So, the pedestrian activates it.
Mhm.
and a flashing yellow light comes on. Does the pedestrian have a walk signal when the yellow light is on, or only?
Yes, it's like we prepared for this. This is.
Yeah.
Yes, they do get a walk signal, which is a benefit to this versus the yellow flashing beacons where they can stop traffic. As soon as they push the button, the beacons start and they stop traffic. In this case, it can have a little bit of a delay and wait for people to platoon. Then they get the walk signal, which is easier for kids to.
So when the flashing
Understand
yellow
well.
is on, I don't have a walk signal, but then when the red comes on, then the walk signal comes on. Is that
Yes,
how that
I
works?
believe that. Yes, the pedestrian interval really starts with the red.
Okay.
And then it starts flashing red at the end so that vehicles can continue
Wow.
if there's, or they can they can
This is a thing. Yeah.
Yeah. So this is an exciting improvement, and it really fits this location so well because of the huge, talking about 200 pedestrians, and if you think about them trickling, if we had the regular yellow flashing beacons, the rectangular rapid flashing beacons, they would be pushing and pushing and pushing and stopping traffic. It would be a detriment to the traffic operations would definitely have an impact. It's also better, it's safer for the kids in this location because they're getting the walk signal, they're getting the Walkman, and it's easier to understand, whereas they should still be looking both ways. We need to teach our kids to still be looking both ways, but with the yellow flashing beacons, it's really entirely on the pedestrian to watch for traffic to stop.
You said you were gonna do some form of education. Is that like at the school with the students or just community-wide?
We're still developing that. I think it's going to be both. The schools, part of the Safe Routes to School grant program is it puts some responsibility on the schools themselves to help with that education. But I've also been talking to Jolene, and we'll be putting out our own communication and developing our own education.
Okay.
So,
Thank you.
especially in this location for this.
Yeah,
Yes.
it's new.
Yes.
Bless you.
And it's important not only for the students to understand, but the drivers, because it stays dark until it's activated, and then the flashing yellow, it's definitely a different
Yeah, it's
traffic
gonna
control
change that
device.
quite a
Will
bit.
will you be putting a, traffic signal change ahead notification somewhere for a period of time?
Yes, we will do that until it no longer feels new.
Okay.
So that might be 6 months.
Yeah.
Like at River and Quinnipiac, when we put the always stop in, we put those signs in as well, and the intent was to leave them for 6 months. So.
I have gotten such positive feedback from that improvement on River and Quinnipiac.
Awesome,
So.
that's great.
I
Thank
can
you.
give it to you myself. I just used it the other day. My
Thank
husband was
you.
like, "This is such an improvement," because we live up there. And it is. I am not afraid to cross anymore.
I love hearing that. That's fantastic.
River and Quinnipiac. Yeah. It's dangerous.
That was a Lonnie special.
Where would you go when you cross that?
Definitely a team effort.
My friend lives over on Quinnipiac.
Okay.
What are you suggesting? over there?
I know
Oh,
what
there's
you're
a nice-
suggesting, and
there's a
I'm not
nice-
ashamed of supporting local business.
I go there all the time, but I usually don't walk there. Yeah.
I don't either. I get a ride.
Yeah.
I need to walk.
All right, we gotta get these commissioners back on track here.
Yeah,
He's
go ahead.
the
Mark.
chair.
We actually did apply for another grant so keep your
Continue
fingers
that.
crossed that we could be seeing an even better improvement there.
Well, I appreciate that you didn't wait, because I know we talked about like, this would be the ideal, but I'm glad you didn't wait, that we did the good that we could do.
It
Yeah.
sounds like it's been effective, so
Yeah.
yes.
Thank you.
Thank you. Going back just a moment here, we were talking about the pedestrian hybrid beacon crossing, but then we will also have about 300 feet of sidewalk infill, just in this section right here. There's a multi-use path beyond it, but there is a gap without any sidewalk or multi-use path between the end of that walk or multi-use path and Gardner Avenue.
Yes, there is.
Is that like a grass field right there or something? That
Down here,
It's like a.
this
just that large
This?
lot?
This is an apartment complex, I'm pretty sure.
Oh.
Yes, it is.
And
And there's a
sidewalk
fence, and there's just kind of a dirt, there's
Sure,
Clearly, people are walking there,
okay.
but it's certainly not ADA compliant. It's not really what you want, yeah.
Okay, thank you.
So this will include constructing the sidewalk. Our total project estimate is about $575,000, and the grant award was $460,000. County share, $115,000. We're starting the preliminary design this year, and we'll be constructing in 2023.
Lonnie, can I ask you a question about this? I've always, like, whenever I talk to Brian, he's always like, well, if you want to do a signal, it's $1 million. We're doing a signal here, and it's like $500,000. Well,
This is not a full signgle.
Why is a real signal more expensive than this? Because this looks like we got the pole, we got the lights. I mean, it looks, from a layperson's perspective, this looks the same.
Well, so a full signal would be 4 poles, and this will be 2.
Okay.
So right there, that's a big.
Okay.
Plus there's so much, like when you put in a signal, there's all the, I don't know if the corners are called at an intersection, but taking those corners out and modifying them for ADA, adding the concrete, all the right-of-ways for pedestrians, plus the visual nature. I went through this with, I think, Ryan and Brian about the one on Silverton Road, because I was really curious why we're doing a temporary, not a permanent. They were like millions of dollars.
And which one was this?
The Silverton and Hell Prairie.
Yes, and the
Is
nature
the-
of that project is that it's federally funded,
Right.
and everything has to be temporary.
Right.
It's really unfortunate, but yes.
I'll be asking later when you come back for that project, because I think the community may be frustrated that you put in a temporary and then take one out, and we want to be prepared to explain why.
Understood.
Well-
We expect that.
Yeah.
Well, we're gonna build a roundabout, we're not gonna put a signal in there.
Okay.
Good point.
That's a whole
That
other
is-
board
You
meeting.
wanna keep traffic moving. Sam's gone now, so we can
That-
build roundabouts.
That would be, we would love to see a roundabout there.
Yeah, that's the way, to go. That'd be the way to go there.
It's challenging with the uses.
I was gonna say, I bet the ag community may not support that.
I like the roundabout.
Maybe build it big
What is
enough.
it?
Yeah.
You can definitely make them usable for trucks and with mountable curb in the center, so that even if they do have to, it's
Drive
not,
over it.
yeah.
Kaiser's that
We
way.
have one
what's
in
the one-
Kaiser.
what's the one in
We can throw
Kaiser?
over all the
It's got a
time.
mountable curb,
Yeah.
yeah.
I really like
Trust
it.
me, I've hit it.
Well, we're glad you stay
You
on all
mount
4
it.
wheels and not come up on 2 when you're turning that corner.
We'll get there. Okay,
Another new Marion one.
so Four Corners Elementary in Salem. We have some photos here of existing conditions. Elma Avenue, so State Street, this includes part of State Street for a crossing, as well as Elma Avenue headed from I should come down here, from State Street down to the school. We are missing any kind of pedestrian facilities, no sidewalks. The street is quite narrow to allow for kids to be here. So the kids are walking in the gravel, and there is no crossing at this point, no marked or signed crossing in this area on State Street for pedestrians to cross. So this project scope includes a crosswalk and a rectangular rapid flash beacon on State Street, just east of Elma, and constructing about 900 feet of walkway. It won't be concrete sidewalk, but it will be flat, ADA compliant surface, safe.
Made of what? What are we gonna make?
Asphalt.
Oh, asphalt.
And filling in the gaps, and then constructing an enhanced crosswalk here at Mart. I should have marked that. Mart, to continue the connected pedestrian route, and then implementing traffic calming measures down here near the school.
What's that mean?
So likely we're gonna see an all-way stop.
Okay, like a stop sign on a.
It could be, yeah, it's probably going to be an all-way stop, yeah. We also have, on the, right here, on the east side, we have a bulb out currently, which is, this sidewalk comes out, so it makes it easier for the pedestrian to cross, because it shortens the crossing, and kind of puts them out there more visible for the drivers to see. And so our plan right now does show us putting one on the other side. We're figuring out all those details right now.
Is there crosswalks on State from both directions coming into Elma? Not crosswalks, sidewalks?
I think there's some on the south side. I don't know that there's any on the north side. We have a project coming up in the next few years to widen State Street, which will include sidewalks on the south side.
Correct?
That's correct. I believe they're going in on the south side. We're putting sidewalks in on one side of State Street
Yes.
with an upcoming federal contract.
And it's that end of State Street, not the other.
This end,
Lenny,
this
can you,
end.
can you repeat that, what Ryan said, because
Yes.
they didn't pick that up on the
Yes,
microphones. Thank you.
we have a project through SCAT's federally funded project that will be widening State Street to the south, and that will be coming in the next few years. It would have included this crossing, but we looked at this as an opportunity to get more grant funding to help us get there faster. And as we've discussed, in the past, some of our federally funded projects are a little underfunded, and so this is a way to help us get to the finish line.
Great.
And we can get it in sooner, that's the big thing. If we can get this crossing in, so pedestrians can be using it sooner, why not, right? So this is an example of a rectangular rapid flash beacon. These have become, in the last 10 years, have become a very popular pedestrian crossing enhancement. And we're really excited to be bringing more into the county. We have our first one coming, I think, on our 45th project. I keep looking to Ryan, I'm so glad he's here. And we will have more coming. This will be one of our first, though.
Great.
So this is the one where you push the button and you get an audible message that says to wait for traffic, and it has a special flash pattern that is considered, through studies, they found it to be far more effective than the circular beacons that just alternate. The total project estimate for Four Corners is $475,000, with the grant award being $380,000. We're starting preliminary design this year with construction in 2023.
Why does it take so long?
We have a number of phases for our design, and we have to work out conflicts, and if there's any kind of right-of-way acquisition, I don't think there is for this. They're long processes.
Okay.
Yeah. Sometimes we have right-of-way acquisition, which can take another 6 months to a year sometimes, and we also can have environmental, but in this case we don't. But
Okay.
Auburn Elementary is our fourth, and this is also in Salem. So I'm going to actually skip ahead here and show you. We've got Auburn Elementary on Auburn Road, but what we actually applied for is up on Center Street, right in front of the bowling alley. This will help students. There are students coming this far, and Center Street is a bit, it's a tough one for the kids to be crossing on their own, especially. And so this is a great improvement. Even though it seems like it's far from the school, it will definitely help some of the apartment complexes and different residents up here north of Center. So this project includes the rectangular rapid flash beacon crossing on State Street, and it will occur with the Center Street widening project that will be coming in the next few years, another federally funded project where we will be widening to the north. And we will be constructing this at the same time. Another example of taking a component that we were proposing in another project that was underfunded, but finding another way to apply for different grants. This is what Center Street looks like right now. So right at the crossing, where we would put the crossing. So it's it'll be a great help for students here crossing this wide. The total project estimate is about $200,000 with the grant of $160,000. The preliminary design is starting this year, and construction, again, will be 2023. And I just wanted to introduce a new slide, communication and public education, because I know this is an important component of all the work that we do. I wanted to show you the 6 E's of the key components of the Oregon Safe Routes to School program. Engineering is just one of them. Education is one. So we, even though it's not part of their education program, there is an education element in all of our engineering work. And as we discussed earlier, we will definitely be working with the schools and residents and the users to inform them of the enhancements and how to use them.
I have 2 more questions.
Go ahead.
Is there a cost, any cost at all from school districts to participate in this? Like, do they contribute any financial dollars?
What they would contribute is their efforts to assist with the education. They're not writing a check to contribute to it. This is really primarily the grant funding and then the county's contribution, Public Works.
Okay. And then who manages the Oregon Safe Routes to School program? What state agency?
It's ODOT.
Okay.
Leanne Ferguson is the person that is responsible for it right now, and she's an incredible leader, and yeah, she's doing a really fantastic job with the program.
So when we get when someone reaches out to us and has a concern or a suggestion or an observation, like recently we received one from a parent off of Hazel Green, because obviously schools have not been in, and it's a 55 mile an hour except for when school is there. And Brian Nicholas communicated, and then I called Mike Wolf at Salem Kaiser Public Schools and said, hey, what are you guys doing? And he gave me kind of his side of it. But how does something like that particular area become a project? Is it initiated from the school, or is it from the county? How does that work?
So specific to Hazel Green, we have flashing beacons in place. It was unfortunate that we just hadn't been able to replace the one that had been knocked down by a vehicle hitting it, and we got it up and running as fast as we could. Really, they would reach out to Public Works, and we would see, especially when it comes to the school flashing beacons, we have a program where we have, I think, about 23 schools that have these beacons, and we are in the process right now of upgrading all of our technology. The products are obsolete, and this is part of the problem that we actually had with Valley Inquiry. It was not with the school, with the beacons that were there. But in the next, I would say 2 years, we have a plan to replace and upgrade all of our technology so that we will be able to communicate with it remotely and work more efficiently. And then at that point, we plan to install a couple more a year as requested. So we can, the request can come to engineering, we can do our assessment, and then we plan to have the money to put in another couple a year after we get everything upgraded.
And so just because
Does
I
that
don't
help?
actually know the answer to this,
Okay.
that answers all my questions for that. But then, so what if it's a school like downtown Salem? Is it a Salem thing, or is it still a Marion County thing?
If it's outside of, if it's in the city limits, it is Salem.
Okay.
In the city of Salem.
Okay, thank you.
If it's outside of the city limits, then yeah. It's us.
They actually have I think they have a lobbyist too. Rebecca Gilliam, I think, represents Safe throughout the schools, right?
That sounds familiar, yeah.
Yeah, and I can give you her contact. She understands the program really well too, and helps with the funding and getting the grants and stuff. So.
Oh, good.
There is a special program also within, so I mentioned the construction and the non-construction programs. Within construction, there's competitive construction, there is a rapid response and a project identification. I know it's a lot, sorry. There is 10% of the grant funding goes towards a rapid response program. So if we ever found that we had a crash, we could, that's intended to, hey, we have this problem that just,
Yeah.
we need to address it immediately. And so we could apply for something there too.
Great, thank you. I think it's an excellent program. I'm a proponent for kids being mobile on their way to schools, but I'm also terrified to send my own children. Like I live off of Wheatland Road, and I would never let my daughter walk down Wheatland Road in the morning to school because there's no sidewalks for 75% of it. And it's scary. Cars don't pay attention.
And
So
there's a lot of people in
gotta
your
ride the
boat.
bus.
Yeah, and that's really the purpose of this program, and it's sitting on it. I'm just brand new to the committee, the advisory committee, and it is full of people. I'm one of the only engineers. It's different people from all different kinds of advocates, bike and pedestrian advocates, and there is so much passion, and just everyone wants to help. So
Good.
it's
I
a
love
really,
that.
yeah.
well, thanks for being on it.
Yeah, oh, it's great. It's great. Thank you.
All right. Any other questions?
No, I think it's a great
So
program.
we're going to make that famous, long, continual motion.
Yeah, I'm gonna
Rolling
say
motion.
we, mean me.
I love that it's you, by
Let's
the
see
way.
if I can pull this off.
Yeah.
All right, Mr. Chair, I move that we approve the incoming funds intergovernmental agreement, the Oregon Department of Transportation for the Safe Routes to Schools Program Grant for Marion Elementary School, estimated at $600,000, of which an estimated $300,000 will be paid for with grant funds, and the remaining estimate of $300,000 will be provided by Marion County funding and staff time donations through March 2026. And this is going to be a rolling motion, so I'm also going to move that we approve item number 4, except that we're going to change the dollar amount to $200,000. And I move that we approve item number 5, except that we change the dollar amount to $575,000. And I move that we approve item number 6, except that we change the dollar amount to $475,000.
Mr. Chair, we're also changing the schools.
Right, just to clarify, let's see, you read the full one on item 3, so item 4 is for Auburn Elementary. Item number 5 was for Staten Middle School, and item number 6 was for Four Corners Elementary. To clarify, and there's different matches that the county's matching in those numbers too. It's on the agenda, so. Is that good? Does that
Yes.
clarify?
Yes.
Okay.
I second the motion.
Okay, a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Brenda, you got that? Okay, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Aye. Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you
Thank
for
you.
the
Thank you, Lonnie.
presentation. Always love it.
Looking forward to the movie.
Yeah.
Oh, look, Ryan's
Okay.
here.
This would be really disappointing if Ryan steps up and doesn't have another movie. Consider approval, item number 7, consider approval incoming funds intergovernmental agreement for the Oregon Department of Transportation for the French Prairie Road Shampooey Creek Bridge project estimated at $1,880,300,000, of which an estimate of $1,687,000 estimate of $1,687,193.19, close estimate, will be funded by the state of Oregon, and the remaining estimate of $193,106.81 will be funded by Marion County through March 31st, 2031.
Wow.
Whoa.
It won't take us quite that long to get to construction. They just give us 10 years to get the project completed. For the record, Ryan Cruther, Marion County Capital Projects Manager, here to talk to you about our French Prairie Road Shampooey Creek Bridge project and our IGA with the Oregon Department of Transportation.
Pull that mic up, just, there you go.
Perfect. So the project's located in North Marion County, just west of the city of Woodburn and south of Highway 219 on French Prairie Road. The existing structure is narrow. It's got a sufficiency rating of 44.5, and it qualified for replacement under the local bridge program. So you can see there's a few photos up here that show the existing structure. It's fairly small. The scope of the project is to replace the bridge with a new structure that meets all current standards for alignment, grade, bridge rail, and structural capacity. We'll also have to do some approach work to tie into the new structure. So we want to replace the bridge in its current location, which means we have to close the road during construction. You can see here, this is a detour we included with our grant application. That allows us to replace the bridge quicker. It also allows us to not impact the adjacent property owners as severely.
Can you go back?
Yeah, no problem.
Where's the road closure, the red line?
So you can see here, bridge 05492. This is where the bridge is located, so that's where the road closure would occur. This line here would be the detour, the signed detour that takes people around the road closure.
Ryan, how long is that closure and detour going to be in effect? Because you have a 10-year window on this sucker.
So we would, this is a small bridge. It is a small structure. We would, during design, look at just how long we needed, but we really try to accelerate anything that does need a closure and really limit the contractor to only what we see as needed. For example, our Silverton Road Bridge, a much larger structure, the closure is 7 months. For a bridge we did a few years ago, I believe we only gave them 4 or 5 months, and it was just slightly larger than this. We'd need to look at really the specifics with this bridge during design, but we do create a project schedule internally that we use to determine how long we give the contractors to do that closure.
So it's months, not years.
Months, not years, correct.
Thank you.
So this started out as a federal grant. We were awarded a federal grant to replace the bridge. The state offers what's called the Fund Exchange Program to swap federal money for state money, which we took advantage of on this project. So the state is contributing 89.73% of the grant, with the county providing the remaining 10.27%. So the county's share of the project is $193,106.81, our estimated share. Our preliminary schedule is to begin design in 2021, obtain any required right-of-way or construction easements in 2023, and construct the project in 2024.
I have a question on the estimates.
Go ahead.
What happens if cost of goods goes up, in the next year and a half? Who covers that additional expense? Is it the county or the state?
So there are some different avenues. First, when we're doing the original scoping estimate, we include both a contingency, which should account for anything we don't expect, as well as typically we put in inflation into our estimates. So we assume, say, a 3% inflation factor. I'm not sure exactly what factor was used on this project, but that is included in the initial estimate. As you said, sometimes prices increase. And so when that increase happens, there is an avenue called a project change request, where we can go back to ODOT Bridge and ask for additional funding. Now, that doesn't guarantee that we'd get it, but we do have that avenue to at least ask for that additional funding
Okay.
if there's a change.
But if they don't approve it, then it's on the county.
That's correct.
Okay.
Okay, good. You got more?
I don't have any more slides, so
No more
if you
movie?
have any questions, I'd be happy to answer them.
Oh, I do have a question. Is this going to be built after the Scotts Mills Bridge?
This actually will likely be built either with the Scotts Mills Bridge or before, because it's a much smaller bridge, so the design will be quicker. And so it's
Okay, well, I
Better get your
don't,
shovel out.
I
Looks like you're doing it.
doubt if anybody's watching that really cares about the Scotts Mills Bridge, but I do. I was told that I better make sure that bridge got built.
People care. They talk to
because-
people that really care who
I lost a bet, yeah. Yeah. All right.
all right. Mr. Chair, I move to approve incoming funds intergovernmental agreement with the Oregon Department of Transportation for the French Prairie Road Shampoo Creek Bridge project, estimated at $1,880,300, of which an estimated $1,687,193.19 will be funded by the state of Oregon, and the remaining estimate of $193,106.81 will be funded by Marion County through March 31, 2031.
I second the motion.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion?
I just want to say that I can't believe I read a paper that has 2031 written on it as a year.
Let's
That
hope
I'm
it gets
gonna
done
be-
quite a bit faster than
I
that.
know, but seriously.
Well, you'll need to make sure that Scotts Mills Bridge gets built if it doesn't happen before this, 'cause
Brian,
I just-
listen, this
I
is the
just-
thing.
I don't know. All right, so,
We're moving forward with Scott.
I know.
yeah,
I tell you, I have the shovel, and I hope that I'm there, because Mr. Brantano wants to accompany.
right. So, we have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Aye, okay, that's great. Thanks for being here, and thanks for the slide presentation. And colleagues, I just want to note for the record, I skipped over public comment this morning, but we have nobody signed up for public comment. There was nobody signed up at the beginning, so I'm just returning the public comment and making a note that there was nobody signed up for public comment, which we have an opportunity for the public at the beginning of every one of our meetings to comment on things that potentially are not on the agenda, so,
I have a question about that.
yes.
If somebody was to submit public comment in writing, would it be read into the record?
Not necessarily, it can be, but it is submitted for the record, but it's not always written and read into the record.
Okay.
Same way in the legislature, we
Yeah.
send letters over there to support something, and it's part of the record, but it's not necessarily read out loud. However, any member could, if you wanted to read something for the record on a particular issue, and looking at legal counsel, I think you're willing.
You can
You're-
read public record.
Yeah.
I mean, public comment.
It can be read into the record. But it also is there for a record.
I mean, I prefer to see people. I'd love for people to come down and talk. And we get a lot of emails, not that I want to read them all into the record, I just was curious.
Yeah.
Mr. Chair, I think it's my turn to read the calendar.
Okay.
I just want to say that you kind of look very Easterly today.
I picked out this tie as, it was a springy.
It's
Yeah.
like, yeah, Easter, spring.
This wasn't an accident.
I almost wore a pink tie.
Yeah, I was
I had
feeling
it
very
up and I
springy
go,
today.
I was thinking, that's not quite Easter
Except for
yet.
it's pouring down rain. I wore a springy shirt too, flowers, and I was like, oh, bummer.
It's just been warm. So like, we have a 100-year-old home. It's like Swiss cheese. So like when it's cold outside, it's cold inside.
Oh.
And it's been warm the last couple of days. Swiss cheese. So
There's all kinds of airflow
I'm
through it.
feeling spring.
I forgot to put on my
All right.
Marion County mask.
Anyway, today is March 24th. We are here finishing up our board session, Center Hearing Room, 555 Court Street Northeast. At 11 o'clock today, March 24th, we have a Board of Commissioners policy meeting located in the Commissioners Boardroom, 5th floor of this building, 555 Court Street Northeast in Salem. Then today at noon, March 24th, we have an Executive Committee Marion County Public Safety Coordinating Council meeting located again in the Commissioners Boardroom on the 5th floor of this building. On Wednesday, March 24th at 4 in the afternoon, we have a FEMA briefing for local officials, which is virtual. Tomorrow, Thursday, March 25th at 10 in the morning, we have a work session, economic development update located in the Commissioners Boardroom on the 5th floor of this building. Tomorrow, Thursday, March 25th at 1 in the afternoon, we have a Health and Human Services Policy Group meeting located in the Commissioners Boardroom on the 5th floor of this building. On Friday, March 26th at 11 in the morning, we have an Association of Oregon Counties weekly COVID-19 conference call, and that's a virtual meeting. And then Monday, March 29th at 8:30 in the morning, we have calendar review located in the Commissioners Boardroom. That's the 5th floor of this building. And then on Monday, March 29th at 9 in the morning, we have management update located in the Commissioners Boardroom. Again, the 5th floor of this building, and that's 555 Court Street Northeast in Salem. And then Monday, March 29th at 1 in the afternoon, we have Commissioners Photos. It's very exciting because we've had Sam's photo up in our office for most of Commissioner Bethel's tenure as a commissioner, which has been sort of fun. But that will change on Monday. At 1 in the afternoon, March 29th, we have commissioners' photos located in the center hearing room. That's this room, and it's the first floor of our building at 555 Court Street Northeast in Salem. Tuesday, March 30th at 9 in the morning, we have a work session regarding affordable housing projects and the City of Salem's Our Salem project, located in the Commissioners' Boardroom on the 5th floor of this building. And then on Tuesday, March 30th at 2:30 in the afternoon, we have a Health and Human Services Policy Group meeting located in the Commissioners' Boardroom. That's the 5th floor of this building. Then Tuesday, March 30th at 3:30 in the afternoon, we have a Marion County Housing Authority regular meeting located in the Commissioners' Boardroom. That's the 5th floor of this building. Then on Wednesday, March 31st at 9 in the morning, we have board session located in the center hearing room. That's this room. It's the first floor of our building here. And then on Wednesday, March 31st at 11 a.m., we have a Board of Commissioners policy meeting located in the Commissioners' Boardroom on the 5th floor of this building. And then on Wednesday, March 31st at 4 in the afternoon, we have a FEMA briefing for local officials, and that is a virtual meeting. There you go.
All right. A lot of safe routes to schools today. That's important stuff.
Positive thing.
It is.
Yeah, our kiddos.
I just wanted to tell you guys, thank you for last Saturday, being at the Canyon.
Yeah, that was good, wasn't it?
It was great. I was unable to attend the Gates town hall, but I understand it was well attended
Yeah.
and people were very happy.
I really like that format.
I do too. I'm looking
Yeah.
forward to the North Fork one. The Detroit one was really successful, as was the groundbreaking. I think it's so fantastic to be able to go up there and connect with the community members and be able to serve them on the spot. Public Works was quite busy. Brian was answering a lot of questions from individuals and was really able to point them in the direction of resources. I heard from a woman who just didn't know who to talk to and before, and she thought, well, what the heck, I'll go down and see, maybe someone can support me. And Brian gave her 3 resources that was able to help solve her challenges, and she's able to move forward with her recovery.
Probably,
Which is great.
I think they were so successful, and I think, I think we need to take a look on the calendar and schedule.
Do it again.
Schedule
Yeah.
again, where you're looking at Scott.
I am, I'm looking at Scott. We're gonna talk about that tomorrow, he and I.
Well, I mean, a lot of times we go up there for these town halls and we sort of are presenting, but for a lot of folks, they don't need a presentation. They need to have everybody in a room and be able to go and say, hey, I have this problem with my house, or this problem with my septic, or this problem with cleanup, and to have ODOT there and our permitting folks there and the COG planning folks there. And it was just, I felt like it was a very useful environment, and I just got the sense from the people that I met there that they just were thrilled. They thought it was a good use of their time. They didn't feel like it was some annoying political thing. So I felt really positive about it. And I think that was your idea, Commissioner Cameron, to sort of have it as sort of a resource thing. So
Yeah, we just
good
need to
job.
do it. I don't know whose idea it was, but it doesn't matter. Because I think we just were there. And it was just great to have the resources that people could go to and
Yeah.
direct them to that was there. So, and then I know you stayed back in Detroit to work on a volunteer project at Kane's to help one of the businesses up there, which is very much appreciated, Commissioner, and the work that you and others are doing there to help get the marina and their RV place open. I know I'm on the Detroit Planning Commission. Last night we discussed, just openly, didn't take any kind of action yet, because we'll have staff come back, write it up, but food carts
Yeah.
in
trucks.
Detroit, food carts, trucks, whatever you call them.
You voted in favor of that, huh?
No, there was no vote taken. I did say we need to make sure that whatever rules we come up with are temporary and can be reviewed in the future, because if you're going to invest in a foundation and put a permanent restaurant in someplace, you need to make sure that you have the ability to recoup your investment. And but we need services up there, and so I think there's going to be a public hearing on that for the citizens in Detroit coming up soon. There'll be a notice on that.
There was a real
talk-
good spirit up there in Detroit. for
Yeah,
that
well, both places.
start opening.
That was the thing that impressed me the most was how positive people were there. All of us have had those angry people, which we understand, right?
Yeah.
I mean, you lose everything, you go through this, cycle of recovery, and there's all kinds of emotions involved in that. But
Yeah, lots of trauma.
we didn't see that, and I think in both places, and it was great to see Gates people come up to Detroit, and some Detroit.
I know the mayor came
Right.
up, the Gates mayor, Mayor Carmichael?
Both Carmichael and the former mayor.
And McCormick, they both were there.
And the council president, Dale
Yeah.
Weesey.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it
I,
was good to see them, helping each other out.
I got a Facebook instant message from somebody on Saturday evening saying, hey, I really would have loved to have helped. How do I get involved? And that project was just kind of a call to action to my friends to hurry up and get it done because it was last minute. But through the Santiam Canyon Wildfire Relief Fund website, there's a Sign Up Genius link for volunteers, and you sign up with your cell phone number. And I just received a text message this morning, and there's some folks up the North Fork that need help this weekend with cleanup. So if people want to help, they can go to that website and sign up, and it's a pick and choose, and you have to respond to say that you'll go, and it tells you who the contact is. But that's how that community up there is looking for more hands, more hands make light work kind of a thing. And I think it's fantastic. I'm thrilled that that's available to people.
That's great.
Well, and I just want to acknowledge Chad in our office who put those together and organized that. And then Matt was there all day too. So staff was, besides the resources that were there, we had board staff there that helped set up, take down, and that went really good. And the other thing I noticed Friday when I was walking Chad around town to introduce him a little bit to what was left of Detroit, the ODOT crews were up there cleaning over on Santiam Avenue, and a guy was standing there with a stop sign. He wouldn't let us go through without a hard hat on. So we turned around and took another detour, but I asked him, I said, now where are you from? And, because the big contractors are out of state, right? And he had an accent, so that's why I recognized it. Where are you from? He says, I'm from Corvallis. I said, good. I said, hey, do you mind me asking your job here, is how much you make? Did I tell you this story?
No.
Did I tell you
Making a lot
this?
of money.
For he's getting paid prevailing wage, a federal contract, I guess, because it's FEMA.
Uh-huh.
He's a sign guy. Was it 47? Did I say 40?
You were saying an hour.
Was it, or 27? It was.
But it was 27, but then there was
It was
like
27 something, and then another $15 an hour
Prevailing wage.
on top of that. Yeah, so he's making like $45 an hour.
You're in the wrong business, man.
Well, Chad and I looked at each other and said, well, maybe we should get a part-time job on the weekends. But it is federal contracts, prevailing wage, and so local people in Oregon are getting those jobs. And then North Santiam Paving, which is a local company out of Staten there, which is a suburb of Sublimity. They're driving these trucks back and forth out of Detroit, so their people are getting some work out of it too.
Lots of the local tree companies, my son's working with a tree company on the removal, and they're ODOT contracted to come up and do a lot of that removal.
So he's on prevailing wage doing that? Yeah.
It's a lifestyle for a 19-year-old.
It's a good deal if you can get it.
Right. But then on the flip side, you notice like Sigmund's are donating their trucks for the build, donating the gravel for the build. So you've got these local businesses that are putting forth all kinds of resources to help the build at the Detroit Lake Community Center. So it's really good to see the things that are happening, and so good to have you, Scott, helping to lead this stuff.
It's gonna be great.
What else we got? Anything you want to talk about?
We're gonna be up the North Fork on April 17th for a town hall.
Oh, yeah.
Community forum, just like we just did last weekend, and anybody up the canyon can come and participate in that. Same style, open house, resources available. It's gonna be at the at the North Fork Fire Station. So,
Well,
Great.
so I was wondering about that because I got an email from somebody today. I sent off to Chad to give him the details, but I was concerned, obviously, with the road closure.
right,
You're gonna have to come up there. You're a resident, right? You're a property owner to come up. It's not open to anybody. So what if I'm a property owner in Gates and I want to come up to the Little North Fork? So we're gonna have to be lenient on that.
yeah, for me, I don't believe we're gonna have any gates in place by then, and so the road will still be open, accessible, and the sheriff will be, we had plenty of county sheriffs with us on Saturday, answering questions and interacting, and they'll be very active on the North Fork to make sure that people are there for the right reasons. So, yeah, Gates and Detroit folks that missed last weekend can come on the 17th and, participate in that, but not go meander around.
Cool. All right. Still only potable water in Detroit. I know they're saying middle of April for drinking water, so I know that's a big, big deal to rebuild,
Yeah,
To
well,
even
it can't
do-
happen soon enough.
even do cleaning, yeah. Okay, anything else?
I don't know.
No, we will adjourn.